Hello, my dear students. We are studying Industrial Disputes Act 1947, and we are studying this act under label of first paper. Label of first paper is applicable to both the courses BLLB as well as BBLLB. And today, under ID Act, Industrial Dispute Act 1947, we will discuss adjudication machinery. And in adjudication machinery, we will take up the labor code given under section 7. And my dear student, this is video lecture number 25. Adjudication machinery given under section 7 in RD Act 1947, and under section 7, we discuss the labor code. The ultimate remedy for the settlement of an industrial dispute is its reference to adjudication by labor court or tribunals. When conciliation machinery fails to bring about a settlement, the ultimate remedy for the settlement of an industrial dispute is its reference to adjudication by labor court or tribunals when conciliation machinery fails to bring about a settlement. And adjudication consists of settling disputes through intervention by the third party appointed by the government. So when the conciliation machinery fails, then appropriate government may refer the matter to the labor court or to the tribunals. And this adjudication consists of settling disputes through intervention by the third party appointed by the government. The Industrial Disputes Act 1947 provides the adjudication to be conducted by the Labor Court under Section 7, Industrial Tribunals under Section 7A, and National Tribunals under Section 7B. A dispute can be referred to adjudication if the employer and the employee, they recognize, union agree to do so. Means a dispute can be referred to the adjudication if the employer and the recognized unions are agreeing to do so. And a dispute can also be referred to adjudication by the government even if there is no consent of the parties, in which case it is called compulsory adjudication. So if both the parties are agreeing, yes, we want to go adjudication, then these matters may also be referred for the adjudication. And if the government, even if there is no consent of the parties and government feels that this matter should be referred for the adjudication purpose, then government may refer the matter to the labor court. As we have discussed that the dispute can be referred to three types of tribunals or three types of adjudication machinery rather, depending on the nature and facts of dispute in the question. So the under adjudication machinery, matter may be referred to the labor court, it may be referred to the tribunal, and it may be referred to the national tribunal as well. Labor courts, industrial tribunals, and the national tribunals. So under section 7, labor courts, under section 7A, industrial tribunals, and under section 7B, the national tribunals. The procedure, powers, and provisions regarding commencement of award and period of operation of award of these three bodies are similar. The first two bodies, labor court and the industrial tribunal, can be set up either by the state or the central government, but the national tribunal can be constituted by the central government only when it thinks that the adjudication of a dispute is of a national importance. So the procedure, powers, and provisions regarding the commencement of award and period of operation of award of these three bodies are similar. And the first two bodies, as I told you, the labor court and the industrial tribunals can be set up either by the state or the central government. But so far the national tribunal is concerned, the national tribunal can be constituted by the central government only. And when it thinks fit that the adjudication of a dispute is of a national importance, then government refers the matter to the central government, to the national tribunal. So now let's see that these three bodies are into hierarchical in nature, and it is the government's prerogative to refer a dispute to any of these bodies depending on the nature of the dispute. So if the matter is of the national importance or the matter is related, so for that actually we may refer the schedule given under the ID Act, that what matters will fall under what categories. So for that we can refer the schedule where these matters are mentioned, and we may refer that. So far the labor court is concerned, under section 7, a labor court consists of one person only, and who is normally a sitting or an ex-judge of a high court, and it may be constituted, labor court may be constituted by the appropriate government or for adjudication of disputes which are mentioned in the second schedule of the Act. So in the second schedule, matters are given which may be referred for the adjudication to the labor court. So a labor court consists of one person only, who is normally a sitting or maybe an ex-judge of a high court, and it may be constituted by the appropriate government for adjudication of disputes which are mentioned in the second schedule of the Act. And the issues referred to a labor court may include the propriety of legality, the propriety or legality of an order passed by an employer under the standing orders. So if the employer has passed an order under the standing orders, so this order may be challenged before the labor court with regard to propriety and the legality of that order passed by the employer. And the application and interpretation of standing orders. Application and interpretation of standing orders. These kind of matters may also be decided by the labor court given in the second schedule. And discharge and dismissal of workmen and grants of relief to them. So if any matter which is concerned or related with the discharge or the dismissal of a workman or the grant of relief to them, then these matters are also given under the second schedule, and these matters may also be referred to a labor court by the appropriate government. So my dear students, if the propriety or legality of an order passed by an employer under the standing orders, that may be decided by the labor, or that may be referred to the labor court. And if the application and interpretation of the standing orders is required, then again under second schedule this matter is given, and that may be referred to the labor court. And discharge and dismissal of workmen and grant of relief to them may also be referred to the labor court. And further, the withdrawal of any statutory concession or privileges. If earlier workmen were enjoying any statutory concessions or privileges, and now employer is willing to withdraw these concessions or privileges, then these kind of matters may also be referred to the labor court. illegality or otherwise of any strike or lockout, if there is a question mark on the legality of the strike or lockout, or there is an apprehension that it was a illegal strike or a illegal lockout, then these kind of matters may also be referred to the labor court by the appropriate government. And all matters not specified in the third schedule of Industrial Disputes Act 1947. So the matters which are not specified in the third schedule, all those matters may be referred to the labor code of under the Industrial Dispute Act 1947, and it deals with the jurisdiction of the industrial tribunals. So all matters which are not specified in the third schedule of the industrial dispute, which deals with the jurisdiction of the industrial tribunals, all these matters may also be referred to the labor code. So my dear student, this is all about the jurisdiction so far the labor code is concerned. And so far the qualification of the for the appointment of the presiding officer of a labor code is concerned, that we can understand that if the person is or has been the judge of a high court, or he has a period of not less than 3 years been a district judge or additional district judge, or he has held a judicial office in India for not less than 7 years, he has been the presiding officer of a labor court constituted under provincial act or state act for not less than 5 years, and he has been the deputy chief labor commissioner central or joint commissioner of the state labor department, having a degree in law, at least 7 years experience in the labor department, including 3 years of experience in the labor department, including 3 years of experience as a conciliation officer. So these are the qualifications to get an appointment as a presiding officer of the labor court. And provided that no such a deputy labor commissioner or a joint labor commissioner shall be appointed unless he resigns from the service of the central government or state government, or as the case may be, before being appointed as the presiding officer of the labor court. So these are certain qualifications to be appointed as a presiding officer of the labor court. So my dear students, today we have just gone through that how this adjudication machinery works, and what are the authorities available under the adjudication machineries which may decide the industrial disputes given under section 7. We have gone through the labor court also, and this adjudication would be decided with the intervention of third parties. Once the conciliation machinery fails and matter is maybe referred by the appropriate government to the labor court under section 7, industrial tribunal under section 7A, and national tribunal section 7V. It depends that matter would be referred to which competent authority, and depend on the nature and the facts of the dispute in question. And the procedure, powers and provisions regarding the commencement of award and period of operation of award of these three bodies are similar. The first two bodies, so far the labor court and the industrial tribunal is concerned, can be set up either by the state or a central government, but the national tribunal can be constituted by the central government only, and when it thinks that the adjudication of a dispute is of a national importance. So these are the three bodies, are into hierarchical in nature, and it is the government's prerogative to refer a dispute to any of these bodies, depending on the nature of the dispute, as I told you. And in labor court, you will find one presiding officer, one person would be there who is normally a sitting judge or ex-judge of a high court, may be constituted by the appropriate government for adjudication of dispute, which are mentioned in the second schedule of the act. The propriety and the issues which may be referred to the labor court may include the propriety or legality of the order passed by an employer under the standing orders, the application and interpretation of standing orders. These kind of matters may also be referred to the labor court. discharge and dismissal of a workman and grant of relief to them, uh, withdrawal of any statutory concession or privileges if employer is willing to or trying to withdraw any statutory concession or privileges, then these matters may also be referred by the appropriate government to the labor court. And illegality or otherwise of any strike or lockout is there. If there is any strike or lockout which is into question mark whether this strike or this lockout was means illegal or not. And all matters are not specified in the third schedule of Industrial Dispute Acts. And this third schedule deals with the jurisdiction of the industrial tribunals. So all these matters may be referred to the labor court. So thank you, my dear students. I believe today's lecture will help you and will give you an insight about the adjudication machinery. And whenever you are just referring this, I'm again advising you to just keep a copy of the BEAR Act with you to clarify your doubts. Thank you so much. And in our next lecture, we'll take up some other topic related to the adjudication machinery. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. Take care.